What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Post-Gazette Pirates YouTube channel. He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. It's Thursday, which means it's time for another mailbag. Final mailbag of spring training, Andrew. Can you believe we're almost done?
What a run it's been. We've had many mailbags. There have been many questions, and there have been many answers. It's unprecedented, really, in the history of sports journalism. So I'm looking forward to getting one more of these in the books. And sincerely, though, we've appreciated all your questions all spring. It's been a blast.
All right, well, let's get right after it. We'll start with Ray, who wants to know who will most likely be the closer if David Bednar continues to struggle. I know he had to he had a clean inning a couple of days ago, though. I'll start here. I think it's Bednar or nobody.
Okay.
That's just personally. Now, I know that Derek Shelton has flirted with the idea of the Pirates maybe not having a traditional closer in the past and saying they were going to go through matchups, and that didn't work. I know every team probably, if it had its druthers, would have a ninth inning guy just dedicated to pitching those final three outs because they're the toughest ones to get in a ball game. I don't care how evolutionary your baseball thinking is. That's just a standard of thinking that I think will never go away, that those are the three hardest outs and you need someone who's a little different mentally to go get them. But I don't know if they have someone that they would want in that role if it's not David Bednar. It's either they feel confident enough in Bednar to be their closer, or they're going to start the year on a matchup basis in the last three innings of a game. They're going to use their lefties when they feel that they're the best time to be deployed. Guys like Kyle Nicholas could match up well against players who maybe can't catch up to velocity, where Bednar, his curveball has been working well. If that pitch profiles well against certain batters, then he'll get the nod. Holderman and Lawrence with their sweeper could be a good matchup for someone who can't hit a pitch with horizontal break. There's a whole bunch. So I would think that that's probably the route they go if it's not Bednar. I think that they would go matchup for matchup. How have guys had success against the hitters that they were projected to face in the past? Like if one guy has had, a lot of success against a certain hitter, then he'll pitch against him in the eighth inning. That would be the strategy I think they would take if it's not Bednar. It's either Bednar or nobody for the closer to start the season. Someone else could earn that role in the regular season if they continue to do well. But right now, I think it's Bednar or just a closer by committee type thing.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a good way of looking at it. I think the way I kind of interpreted this question, at least in answering it in writing, is if there was one guy, who would that one guy be? And I think that's more the interesting question is if it is David Bednar, because I think you're right now. I think that's exactly how this will play out. But let's say, for the sake of argument, what if it is one true guy? I don't know that you can make much more of an argument besides Dennis Santana.
Yeah.
I think he's the guy who last year, what did he show in leverage roles? He's looked great this spring. Derek Shelton has said he'll pitch in leverage spots. Like, I personally, maybe it's a leap of faith, maybe it's too much faith in the guy, but I would say he's somebody that I would certainly look at and say that could very much be a ninth inning option for these guys.
Yeah, I think he could be one of the guys that eventually earns that role. I don't think he's earning it out of spring, but if they don't have a closer in April and Bednar just doesn't get it together, and Santana continues to look good, then he could eventually earn his way into that role. I think the same could be said for Kyle Nicholas, but that would take a little bit more time than just 1 month. I think Santana is probably the closest to being the next closer if it's not Bednar, but I still don't think he would be someone that they would give the closer role to right out of spring training. Next question comes from Derek. Do you see the Pirates making any last-minute additions, either in the pitching staff or the bats? Andrew, you could start here.
Yeah, I mean, I would just be pretty shocked this late in March. I mean, we're at a stage right now where, there's 5-6 spring training games remaining, if that, across the Grapefruit League. Like, this is not – there's not much time left, man. Like, this is just what it is. It's if you're going to sign somebody, it's with the understanding that they would have to start the year in the minors. They would have to build themselves back up. They're not ready for game shape. How does that benefit a team that is expecting to have Spencer Horwitz back in 2 to 3 weeks?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't see it, really. If there was ever a relatively big fish you could bring aboard, sure, you could experiment with bringing aboard one of these guys that everybody keeps throwing around, your Alex Verdugos, your Anthony Rizzos, whatever. I don't see it happening. Pirates have plenty of first base options. They already signed Tommy Pham last month. To me, the conversation's over.
Yeah, I think if there's any addition, it's going to be a waiver claim. I mean, I think that there are, if you look around some rosters in the big leagues, there are guys where it's like, I don't know how they're going to make the team they're on, just because, like, we'll use the Orioles, for example. The Orioles have 1 million outfielders.
Yeah.
Not exactly 1 million, but they probably have like 7 major league caliber outfielders. And while some of them have minor league options, I'm not sure that those are the guys who should be playing in the minor leagues. So what are they going to do with that absolute surplus of talent in that position? You would think that one of them is probably going to get designated for assignment or traded last minute. I think the Pirates would have been more likely to make a move had Jones not been hurt, but now their pitching depth is taking an additional hit potentially. I mean, even if Jones isn't going to miss extended time, I think it's safe to assume that the start of his regular season is going to be a little altered from this just because he's missing his last spring training start. So You have that. You have Oviedo already on the shelf. Bailey Falter's experienced soreness this spring. And they have the internal depth to kind of weather those storms, but they don't have the depth to deal away from that group anymore. They need everybody that they got there. So you can't really make a ball player for ball player trade that they could have with teams like the Orioles or even the Dodgers, who have guys where it's like, I don't know how they're going to keep everyone on this 26-man roster by the start of April. So I just look at it where there might be a waiver claim here or there. The place that typically occurs is in the bullpen. I don't think they have room for a waiver claim there right now because I don't know how they're going to get all of their pitchers who have pitched well this spring onto the major league roster. So, yeah, it's tough. Like, all of the areas where you would theoretically want an addition, they've kind of had guys that performed well this spring in those spots. So I don't get what a waiver claim would do. It would just kind of add more into the mix of players of the same caliber. But if there's going to be a move, it'd be that. It'd be some kind of waiver claim. Maybe they would trade away a guy who's on the cusp of getting DFA'd anyway. And you could use that as a way to clear up a space on the 40-man for someone that you think is better than a Nick York or a DJ Stewart, someone who might have made the team otherwise. But I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll move on now to Ed's question. Ed asks, in our opinion, who are the Pirates candidates to make last-minute cuts or get released? I'll start here. I think there's a couple clear ones. Peter Strzelecki. Is that how you say his last name?
Strzelecki.
Yeah. Okay. He's looked decent this spring. I just don't see how he makes the team. Like, he's on the 40-man roster, and I'm sorry, like, if you're just looking over their options here, I mean, take non-rostered candidates out of the discussion. I still don't think he's one of the best 8 relievers on this team. And then you add in guys like Tanner Rainey and Ryan Baracchi, who I think both should absolutely be on this opening day roster. Someone's got to go. And I look at him, I mean, you didn't give up a ton to get him, and there's a chance, I think, that he slides through waivers and you can still keep him in your org. So that would be one guy I look at. Another is Joey Wentz, who, again, I think he's had a really good spring, but there have been 4 left-handed relievers pitching consistently out of this bullpen this spring, and while he's on the 40-man and Baracchi's not, I would have to think Baracchi gets priority over him. And I don't think they're going to tell Tim Meza or Caleb Ferguson to kick rocks because those were 2 of their major league free agent signings this offseason. So I think Wentz is the odd man out there. So those are 2 pitchers. And then I think the easy position player DFA is Palacios. He's out of options. And when you look at the left-handed bats he's competing against, I mean, Bay and Sawinski have been the 2 best left-handed hitters on this team throughout spring, and they do everything that Palacios does. So I think that those are 3 guys who get DFA'd or moved somehow. before opening day.
Yeah, no, I'm in lockstep with you, especially on the bullpen conversation. The only nugget I'd add on terms of the Palacios conversation is that what would be, I think, the differentiating factor for him if he were to make the team over a guy like Billy Cook or Ji-Hwan Bae, which I'm not saying he will, right? I think that Ji-Hwan Bae has certainly earned the right to be on this team out of camp just based off what he put together. And as much as I like Billy Cook as a ball player, he's got options. He probably starts the year in the minors because of that.
Yeah.
With Palacios, the only thing is going to be, can he demonstrate and has he demonstrated enough this spring that he can play center field?
Right.
If he can do that, like, that's the calling card. There's not many true center fielders here. Billy Cook is the best defensive center fielder on the 40-man roster, but he probably, in my estimation, won't make this team because of the numbers game, the math game. So, but yeah, I'm right there with you with the bullpen guys.
We've got more questions for you, but before we do, we got to hear from our sponsor, Greenewalt Roofing.
Hey, Pittsburgh. When you think of great roofs, you think Greenewalt Roofing Company. With over 20 years experience, Greenewalt knows your roof is your home's first line of defense. From rain, wind, snow, and ice. That's why Greenewalt Roofing's standard for perfection is so important. You can trust that their team of experienced installers will treat your property like it's their own. When it comes to roof replacements, Greenewalt Roofing is Pittsburgh's only choice. Visit greenewaltroofing.com today or call 412-314-8882 to schedule your free estimate. PA contractor number 36262.
Big thanks to Greenewalt Roofing. We get back to the questions now. Rob wants to know if the Pirates are in the market for another starter or if they're content with Thomas Harrington starting as the starting fifth pitcher in the rotation this year. Andrew, you can start here.
Yeah, I mean, they're not in the market for anybody. This is the Pirates. Like, let's back it up and just kind of zoom out a little bit. I mean, what is the one thing you and I have said they have a strength in for the last 6 weeks, basically since last year? They have starting pitchers.
Yeah.
I get it. They traded away Luis Ortiz. I get it. Jared Jones might be out for a little bit. That's okay. This is why you have 3 of your top 5 pitching prospects in AAA. Mm-hmm. They're right there. You can weather this storm. You have Carmen Majinski. You have Caleb Ferguson. You've got options. This is like, as much as I'm trying to be respectful of Jared Jones and the Pirates pitching group, like, this is not the end of the world if he is out for a month or 2 months. Sure, you would much prefer it not happen, but you have Thomas Harrington. You might have Braxton Ashcraft. You could have Bubba Chandler up here relatively soon. It could be Caleb Ferguson. It could be Carmen Majinski. You have so many options that bringing in another guy, bringing in Andrew Heaney, frankly, looks like a shrewd move because you no longer are as worried. Like, if Heaney wasn't here, very different conversation. But you got him in here because Oviedo wasn't quite 100%. So you've got other guys. You're going to be able to weather this storm. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's why you hit the nail on the head with Heaney. That's why they brought him in. When Oviedo went down, they basically said, okay, now if there's another injury, we have to start dipping into our savings account.
Yeah.
Which is fine. But without Heaney, they were already kind of dipping into their savings account. So now with Heaney coming in, that gave them 5 true big league starters. Mm-hmm. And what they really didn't even have with Oviedo, because they didn't know what they had with Oviedo. I mean, we knew what Oviedo was in 23, but we don't know what post-op Oviedo looks like, and we still don't, because that's what happened. He got injured again. So now with this, you have a lot of different routes you can take here. If Jones only needs a couple of weeks off, then this is just make Carmen Majinski the starting fifth guy in the rotation, and you commit to 2 bullpen games. Mm-hmm. That's all you're doing here. And it's pretty simple. Now, if Jones needs a little bit more time, then you have traditional starters you can go with. That could also be Majinski, but it could be Thomas Harrington. It could be Bubba Chandler, who's eventually going to be up here regardless. Even if I don't think he makes, if it's between him and Harrington, I think Harrington gets the edge because he's with the team right now in big league camp. But Bubba's going to get here before the All-Star break. He'll probably be here before June, especially if Jones is on the shelf. Right. So, I mean, you have options there. You have 2 top 100 pitching prospects in AAA with Harrington and Chandler. You have a guy, and then you have guys who are also on the 40-man already that you don't have to make room for. Braxton Ashcraft is on the 40-man. Mike Burrows is on the 40-man. You have those guys as well. So, and I know that none of those guys are Jared Jones, at least right now. I think some of them could be just as good, if not better than Jared Jones when it's all said and done. And that's no disrespect to Jared. It's just, I think very highly of some of those guys. But look around baseball, there are a lot of teams who have much worse options competing for their fifth starting spot.
Mm-hmm.
And those teams aren't just, bottom of the division type squads. I'm talking playoff caliber teams.
Look at the Boston Red Sox. Quinn Priester is basically guaranteed a starting spot. Yeah. And that's a disservice to Quinn Priester. This is a guy who was basically a failed experiment.
Quinn Priester would not be in the mix here.
No.
He would still be, I think, behind. I mean, he might be just because he would have been on the 40-man, but Quinn Priester's not better than really any of the guys that we just named.
Nope.
So, the Red Sox, I mean, the Guardians even, like their fourth starter is not better than most of the guys that we just named. It's just obviously you're not going to get a Jared Jones equivalent replacement like that unless they maybe go with Chandler. But yeah, I think they're fine. I overall, unless they're the only way I see them making a move like that is if Jones is like out for the year.
Yeah.
And even still, it would have to be Jones is out for the year, and they really do not feel confident that any of their rookies are going to be ready to handle the grind of a big league season until June.
Right.
If they feel like they can weather the storm through April with either one rookie or with a bullpen game 3 or 4 times, they're going to do that, and they should do that. That's a very smart move to make. But if they feel like their rookies aren't ready and they don't want to go through 2 months of a bullpen game every 5 days, then that's the only way they're going to make that move. But I just don't see that being the case.
No, nor do I.
George wants to know who are spring training MVP, Cy Young, and Rookie of the Year. All right. All right, I'll go real quick. MVP, I'd go Joey Bart. I think he's been their best hitter this spring as far as just at bats. I know there are a couple guys with more hits, maybe a better OPS, better batting average, but every at bat I've seen from Joey Bart has been a really good at bat. He's going deep into counts. He's barreling the baseball. Even his outs are solid contact, hitting pitches that are tough to get to, and he's making it look easy. I've been really impressed with him. And then his defense, I still think needs work, but if the bat can be at that level, I'm fine with where the defense is at. It's going to be better than last year simply because he knows this pitching staff more. And if his bat's good enough to where he can be a consistent 120 OPS plus type hitter, then he just needs to be good enough defensively to be able to catch Paul Skeens, to not be a guy that you have to pair someone with your ace because they are the only person on the staff who can handle them defensively. So that's my MVP. Cy Young, I'll go with Ryan Borucki. I think he's had the best spring pound for pound out of any pitcher. Jared Jones might have been my pick, but that changes a little bit. So Borucki, and then Rookie of the Year, I'll go with Connor Griffin. Just very impressed by how he has looked like a pro going against actual major leaguers. His game plays. And like I've said before, I don't know if this guy's going to need 4 or 5 years before we see him on the North Shore. It might be closer to 2 to 3. So he's looked really good. Those are my picks. Andrew?
He's great for an 18-year-old, man. I'll say that much. I mean, he is so far along. I do want to add this just because I find it funny, being a Bay Area guy. Joey Bart, is he the greatest spring training player of all time? Because if you look at his – seriously, like I said, it's not in like jest. Like he career 362 hitter with a 1.067 OPS across 180 career spring training at bats with 12 dongs. Like this guy rules in spring. I love spring Joey Bart is like prime Albert Pujols, and I'm all here for it. But anyway, no, for my guys, I would say G1 Bay in the spring has looked fantastic. Like he really, he's earned a spot on the team. I think there's no way really around it. And that's crazy to say because I think he's been one of the more infuriating players the last couple of years for the Pirates when he's been up. Is oh, he's got all these skills, he's got this speed, he's got this talent. He hasn't quite been able to put it together. He's had a really good spring. Cy Young wise, Eddie Yean looked really good. You were really convincing me, and I was probably not as high on Eddie Yean just because, frankly, I wasn't familiar with his game outside of being part of the Will Crow trade. He looked really good this spring. So I think Rocky certainly was more impressive over a larger sample, but Yean is a guy to keep eyes on, for the next year or two. And then MVP, I'll give Matt Gorski his flowers. Great spring for the guy. Did it really mean a lot? Probably not. He still has to fight his way onto the roster at some point this summer if he wants to make his big league debut. But he had as good of a spring as you could ask for. That's really all you can ask for out of the guy.
All right. We only got one bonus question today because we ran a little long, and it comes from Matt. With both Endy and Henry having found something at the plate this spring, why not give Bart reps at first base? I mean, it's a little late now, don't you think?
Man.
Yeah. I mean, I don't hate that idea moving forward. Like, I know that Horowitz has all these years of control. Horowitz is athletic. Maybe one day he plays second base or right field or something along those lines. Because one of these days, if Endy and Henry reach their potential, someone's going to have to move. And while Endy knows how to play first base, Endy's also like 5'8".
Yeah.
So he makes the least amount of sense out of anyone to be at first base for that reason alone. So I think maybe down the line, you move Horowitz back to the outfield for a little bit because he does have the athleticism, the speed, and I think he's a good enough athlete where he could be a fine defender. I don't know what that means for Brian Reynolds, but I think Bart could be a first baseman one day. I just don't see it happening this year because, again, there are 4 spring training games left. You're not going to do this midseason. You had all spring, and they committed to all 3 of these guys being catcher and catcher only in spring. So that's why you don't do it now. Maybe in the future. But again, I think you need to, be sure that Henry and Endy are big league catchers before you start entertaining the idea of doing anything with Joey Bart right now.
Yeah, before you start messing with these guys and really throwing other stuff on their plates. I think that's kind of the point. Joey Bart was an unexpected blessing, right? Like, they were grateful to catch him off the scrap heap from San Francisco. He complicated plans tremendously. Good. That's a good problem to have. For the time being, let these guys figure it out. Let them all do it at their natural positions. See who rises amongst the crop, who sticks as the starter, who sticks as the backup, who eventually plays themselves out of it, and then you can figure it out from there. But you're still getting data on these guys. Endy Rodriguez is 24. Henry Davis, unless I'm mistaken, 25. These guys are so young in the grand scheme of things. Give them some time. Let them keep working out the kinks. And next year, if you need to change any positions, sure. But for now, I don't see any reason to.
All right. He's Andrew Destin. I'm Noah Hiles. Check out our work at post-gazette.com and subscribe to this YouTube channel if you don't already at PG Pirates.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.